Liberal Democrats in Leicestershire say they support the consultation going on, but they're not so optimistic that the Tories will take it seriously. Joining me on the line is Liberal Democrat Councillor David Bill. Morning, David.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning to you. So you like the idea of the consultation? Is that fair to say?
Well, of course, yes. I think consultation on all issues is right in principle.
Where's your scepticism coming from then when it comes to actually the Tories listening to the results of that consultation?
Well, yes, I mean the problem is that the situation is now so dire that the sort of ideas that are likely to come forward, which we should listen to, will probably be nowhere near enough to actually to meet the problems that we face. I mean, the situation is nationally that the economy does appear to be picking up at long last, but what is also happening is that cuts to local government are getting worse. The £100 million is dire, and it's not going to be just 1 year. This is going to be a cut year after year after year.
Mm. You're absolutely right, and of course, when the public come back with their ideas, you know, they may utilise some council services regularly, but not touch others. So they're likely to say, "Well, I don't need my library because I never go into it." But there's plenty of people who do. So it's difficult to sort of sort through all of that information and come out with a clear resolution, isn't it?
We are in an almost impossible situation because it's been calculated. And I've got a report in front of me now, which we presented to us all on Friday. That is that the cost of adult social care, alone, will swallow all local government income within a few years' time. It's as dire as that. And if we regard adult social services as being an essential service, because it's catering to all of us who are growing older year by year, then that puts all the other local government services into a rather dire situation. So the situation is. I mean, my own view on this is that the government just cannot simply just pass down to local government the need to save money. There's got to be a fundamental rethink right at the top. They've got to decide really to bring together police, health, councils, and all public bodies, and bring them all together and sort out what services are necessary and how they're going to be provided and how they're going to be paid for. I don't think it can be done by just tinkering with it, which is what we're effectively being asked to discuss. It's
going to take quite a lot of cross-party agreement, isn't it, to achieve these savings, David? Are you of a mind to compromise and have those discussions, or
of course we are
in opposition? Or it's your job in opposition to argue and oppose, of course, but it will take some considerable compromise, won't it, to make these happen?
Well, I think even with compromise, it's almost as if the situation is. Compromise is not going to be enough. I mean, we're used to rethinking ways of working. We're doing it at district level. We're joining together. We're joining services together all the time at district level to reduce costs, and we've done it effectively. But it's almost as if there's a tsunami of cuts coming our way, and it's going to be very difficult to do. I mean, even if, for example, let us suppose we close down every single public library, that would save a few £1 million, but that would still leave a massive cut to a massive amount that still has to be saved.
Well, and a huge hole in a very valuable service, which a lot of the public value highly.
Exactly. So nobody's going to agree to that. So
well, obviously the consultation starts now. I'm always a little sceptical of consultations, David. I do feel there's something of a political tool to enable a party to say, well, you know, we've got to make these decisions, and you told us this is what you wanted us to do. It's a way of deflecting some of that responsibility, I fear. But I also accept that you as a politician, you and your Conservative colleagues at the County Council need to at least say you're listening to your taxpayers. I mean, where would you start making savings? What would you add into this discussion at this point?
Oh, I think I'd go straight back to the government and say, look, the situation is so dire that if local government income stays as it is and local government expenditure keeps on rising simply because we're all getting older and fitter, which is a good thing, and staying healthier. The government has got to revamp its priorities.
But that'll fall on deaf ears, David, won't it? They're not going to say, "Oh, okay, fair enough. Here's the money we were going to take away from you."
No, I'm not asking. I don't think the government has got any more funds at its disposal than anybody else. But it's got to rethink the way people operate. It's got to rethink. Should the NHS and the councils be in separate setups?
Isn't it time now for some?
They've got to come together, because we know. You see, we've seen evidence, haven't we, here in Leicestershire, of how the NHS is in trouble in certain aspects. Therefore, there has got to be a coming together, so that all public bodies are funded in a radically different way, and people have got to accept that there's going to be less money around.
And it's time for some radical thinking, isn't it? And clever thinking, coming up with new ways of doing things, pooling resources, perhaps with neighbouring councils, to share resources that you utilise perhaps at only limited times of the year, like gritters. Let's just take gritters, for example. Why not have one giant gritting hub somewhere in the middle of the East Midlands that can service all three major counties and share those resources?
Yes, that would make sense. I mean, what we're doing over here in Hinckley has been achieved in Melton, and that is that the various offices that are run by, in our case, Job Centre Plus, the County Council, the Borough Council, we've come together. We're closing down our peripheral offices, and we're all operating out of one building, which means that we're cutting down costs, operating in a more efficient way, and people can have services all under one roof. But that's the kind of thinking that we've got to have now across the county very, very quickly if we're going to maintain the quality of life. So it's not just a case of maintaining the services, it's maintaining the quality of life of all of us who depend upon these services. Because we've got to get this right, because people are going to suffer if we don't move quickly and get new systems into place quickly.
David, thank you for your time today. Nice to talk to you. Liberal Democrat Councillor for Leicestershire County Council, David Bill, there with his thoughts on the consultation which starts now. And if you live in the county, you can fill in the questionnaire.